Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
By Robert Meyer Burnett.
John, today, 10 years ago,
Oh.
April 14th.
Oh, it's April 14th.
April 14th, 2015, I was on AMC Heroes,
Yep.
episode 6, with a guy named John Schnepp, rest in peace, and a guy I didn't know, John
That was our
Campea.
first day meeting.
First day meeting. Today is our 10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary of streaming together.
10-year anniversary. AMC
Yeah.
Heroes, episode 6. Can you believe that?
I remember we talked like a week or so ago when we said, oh yeah, like in a week or so, it's going to be like the 10-year anniversary.
Our 10-year anniversary of me meeting
I
you.
forgot about that.
How crazy is that?
That was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
You guys
Oh.
should ride a Ferris wheel later.
To go to the
And not
Santa
just take
Monica.
pictures.
Should we
Both
hold
of you guys
hands?
like super separated, like this is uncomfortable. But Ray wanted a picture.
But that's now a significant portion of my life. I've been
Yeah, 10
pontificating
years.
on YouTube.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And hopefully many of you guys have been with us for 10 years as well. Good to have you guys here. And here's how today's show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got listed off for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, I should point out, you might have noticed that Jonathan Voico's not here today. That means I am trying to run everything by myself. So unfortunately, we won't be taking live questions today. For all of you guys who sent in questions up until about 20 minutes ago, using our tip link, that is simply at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. For those of you guys who sent in questions up to about 20 minutes ago, we will get around all those questions. But if you are watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not live and you have a question, you can use that tip link and you'll find the link in the description as well. Send on in a question and we'll get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys, listen. Again, let me apologize in advance for any big technical errors we have today, because like I said, I'm trying to run all the cameras and all the audio and all the graphics and all the switching by myself. So I'm sure we're going to make some mistakes. But if you will indulge me, let's get things started with this. Last night, Last of Us Season 2 had its debut with Episode 1, and it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. We did of course, our post-game show of Last of Us Episode 1 last night. Hopefully many of you guys were able to join us. And just, we're probably going to talk in a little bit of spoilery detail because the show did come out last night. We are going to talk a little bit in spoilery detail. So if you don't want to know any of the details that happened in the show, I'm sure most of you watched it already. But if you didn't, you might want to mute your computer and come back when we go on to the next topic. But Rob, one of the things that I said about it was that because there was like a 5-year time jump, it couldn't just pick up where it left off, right? It felt like an episode 1 again. It felt like you have to reestablish now where everything is. Reestablish Jackson. Get us to understand that, hey, the relationship between Ellie and Joel is in a different place right now. All that kind of stuff. So it did feel very much like a premiere in many different ways. But the one big change that a lot of people were talking about, that I'm sure a lot of you guys saw, was introducing Abby right away in the show. And I'll tell you what, I think that was the smartest thing they could do. I 100% think it was the smartest thing you could do. You get us into this character, because one of the things Craig Mazin said, he said, who are the heroes and who are the villains all depends on where you're standing. And I think they wanted to right away, at the very start of the season, have us as the audience standing in that graveyard with Abby and her survivors, and understand, because Rob, you and I were talking about this before the show started. When you're standing there in that graveyard with them, Joel is not a hero. Joel is an unspeakable monster.
Yeah.
He's not just a villain. He's an unspeakable monster who took away not only Abby's father, but everyone she knew and loved. Same with every one of those people standing in that graveyard.
That had survived an apocalypse together.
Yeah, that had survived an apocalypse together, created a community together, was trying to create hope for humanity together for years. Everyone they knew and loved One person came along and murdered them all. And so I love what Craig Mazin said. Who are the heroes and who's the villains depends on where you're standing. And if we're standing in that graveyard, Joel is not the hero. Joel is the villain, the monster. And I kind of love that they did that right kicking off the bat. And again, they did such a great job. You can tell they're setting up a bunch of things in the show to set up that things have changed, right? Like we've got Joel in therapy, which I loved. By the way, all hail and take a knee to our queen, Catherine O'Hara, who like ruled in this episode. So good. She's kind of ruling television right now, like between the studio and now in Last of Us. She was absolutely fantastic in that. And then, but you can tell they're setting up a whole bunch of things that we're going to get filled out in flashbacks later. Her husband, what was the breaking point in the relationship between Ellie and Joel? Like all that kind of stuff is coming. And I just thought it was fabulous. But also I just kind of wanted to give a quick mention to what I thought was one of the creepiest pieces of cinematography that I've seen on TV in a while. And there's this scene, I won't give you the full context of it, but it's a close-up of Ellie from a side profile as she's walking down like an abandoned shopping thing, and she's walking past aisles. And there's a close-up on her face, and you see the aisles in the background as she's going through the aisles. And as she's walking, just as the empty aisle is about to go out of frame because it's following Ellie, you just see... And I'll tell you what, Rob, that freaked me out. I had chills. I thought it was great. And overall, I thought the episode was absolutely fantastic. You had a chance to check it out. How did you feel about the episode?
Like you, I thought every choice that they were making. I mean, obviously, a video game is one thing, but when you're watching narrative storytelling in a film or in a show, it's different because you're not the protagonist anymore playing the game. And I think every choice they made dramatically, the Catherine O'Hara scene was really amazing when she says, I'm gonna unburden myself and let me tell you something, and then I was like, wow. And that immediately set up things that are new, that work out. And I think that what they've done is they added emotional depth to the entirety of the story they're telling that might not have existed in The Last of Us 2 video game. The Last of Us 2 video game sets up an event that there's no two sides to that event. There was one side and it triggered everybody. This immediately has now made it from, as Ben Kenobi might say, a certain point of view. Well, things are now from multiple points of view. And what they're leading to is something that's going to be 10 times as tragic and much more understood, where the audience is going to be conflicted as to their feelings. And like you said, starting with Abby, that scene in the graveyard, what a great way to set up, right from the get-go. And you know that the hell is coming. There is a storm coming. And it's a deserved, what's happening has been deservedly so. And I thought that they did a wonderful job of setting up all these different relationships, and all these things are ping-ponging off each other. And I think we're going to get a great, satisfying, dramatic... I never thought I would be so immersed in a story about cordyceps zombies.
Particularly a video game
adaptation.
Show.
And showing the evolution of the cordyceps. They talked about it in the after show, like the stalker, and you got to see in the pipes,
that was creepy.
So creepy. And who knows where it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The slow apocalypse gets worse every year.
Did Ellie annoy any of you guys?
Oh, okay. So here's the thing I said in the post-game show. And I said, look, I definitely don't want to make generalities, and I don't want to paint with a big, long brush or too broad of a brush. But one of the things that Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 really does just reaffirm something that I think all of us already knew. All teenagers are assholes.
Yeah,
every single one without exception, and as I speak as an expert because I was once a teenager. And even as a teenager, I knew all of us are assholes. And I like the fact that in this episode, they don't go away that Ellie's this perfect little thing. Like, she could be an asshole because she's a teenager.
Yeah, her bravado but also her recklessness gives me like this real sick feeling when I'm watching it. Like, she's gonna get that whole town in trouble first in somehow, some way. She's gonna bring something that the one thing that I thought was great is that she is confident now. She is like a badass, right? Like she's training with that guy in the beginning, like getting beat up for fun. And like going into a building with her friend. It's just like, that's all cool with me, but it just, there's also a flip side to it that I think that's gonna bring negative or consequences to a lot of the people around her. Yeah, the main thing for me was Ellie is gonna get this town in trouble for some.
Well, again, a lot of people know the game and they know the story and they know it's coming. So,
I don't.
Yeah, I'll see that. But I also I don't want to gloss over this too. One of the characters, and I mentioned this in the post-game show last night, one of the characters that, I mean, clearly Abby is the more important character, but I thought one of the trickiest characters they were going to have to try to deal with was Dina. Because in translating the game to the screen, Dina could very quickly and very easily kind of become this afterthought of a love interest. Isabella Merced crushes it as this character. I liked the casting when they announced her. And then I saw her in Alien Romulus and I'm like, okay, maybe she could be really good in this. And I'm telling you, Dora the Explorer has found her way.
I thought, yeah.
Can you say fungus? I mean, she crushed it in this. And I think one of the most iconic scenes from the game itself is the dance. That's one of the most iconic scenes in the game. How are they going to be able to recreate that? They recreated it. They made me feel the chemistry. There's magic between these two. I absolutely loved the scene. And I thought they knocked it out of the park with that scene.
Because she's wildly appealing to boys and girls. You know, I thought they did a great job at making her a character that, first of all, she's a great actress. Second of all, she's got a very appealing screen presence. But in terms of being a spunky, scrappy, do or die kind of a character, they, like you said, they nailed it with her. And you understand why Ellie could be attracted to her. I mean, there's a
and why the whole town's attracted to her.
100%.
And by the way, how great did they set up the chemistry?
Yeah, the chemistry was great.
She has incredible chemistry with Joel.
Yeah.
Like they threw in that scene. It's like you can, and then he's even talking to the therapist about it. I mean, she says hello to me. I can actually talk to her. And
right.
And they really set that up beautifully. So I think that was a big win.
Well done.
Yeah, I have no idea who this Dina character was, but that was probably the best part of the episode for me. Like just the way she played this character. I think moving forward, my problem is because, like you mentioned, the Abby part in the beginning, like they made me understand her angle right away, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with casting Pedro Pascal as Joel. I need to figure out how to detach myself from me liking the actor so much that I'm always going to side with him when I know there's two sides to every story.
Well, that's the thing with the game too.
Yeah.
The game too, it's like, there was a lot of people who in the game were like, because they already went through the entire first game with Joel, a lot of people are like, I can only side with Joel. And I think there's still going to be a lot of people who are watching this season of the show that'll feel the same way. One of the things I was saying to Rob before the show was that one of the great things Last of Us did at the end of season 1 was they left us as the audience without an answer to a moral question. Did Joel do the right thing? Some people will say yes, like, hey, if you were a father, you would understand. And a lot of people like say no, like they had a chance to save the world and he chose himself and his love for this girl. I can already tell that with Abby, they're trying to set up that same dilemma for the audience. And as Craig Mazin said in the post show, who are the heroes and who are the villains is all going to depend on where you're standing. And I think they're going to force us as the audience to be in those same moral dilemmas. We're going to be asking ourselves those questions. And so far, they're off to a great start. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to watch the first episode of season 2 of The Last of Us? Finally back on TV. Whatever you guys thought, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Minecraft obviously opened last weekend to some record-setting numbers. Biggest opening of the year so far by a large margin. Biggest opening for a video game adaptation, beating out the Super Mario Brothers movie. Made, I think, about 183, 84, 85, 86 million dollars. Something along those lines. Or 163, 164, not 180, 160 some odd million dollars. Amazing opening. Well, would it have legs? According to the second weekend, absolutely, because Minecraft just had its second weekend and it opened and it had an $80 million second weekend. Now, I could be wrong about this, but I think I'm right. To put this into perspective, Minecraft's second weekend would have been the second largest opening weekend of the year. The only other movie that had a bigger opening weekend than Minecraft's second weekend was Captain America Brave New World, that I think made $86 to $88 million. For Minecraft to make $80 million in its second weekend would have been the second biggest opening weekend of the year. That is crazy numbers, and it has already crossed $500 million at the box office. I think it's around 540, 550 already. Unless the wheels fall off, which it could, but unless the wheels fall off, this thing's heading to be $1 billion film. This thing is heading to be $1 billion film. So, I mean, when you're taking that all into consideration. Now, the one thing I did want to mention was last week, and on one of our question games that we played, one of our audiences, true or false, or what was more likely, that Minecraft will take less than a 50% drop or greater than 50% drop. I said a greater than 50% drop, and I was right. It took a 50.5% drop. Barely, but it was less than 50. But it was more than a 50% drop. But it was an insanely good...
I said less.
Did you say? Yeah, I think Chris said less too. And it came very, very close to being less.
But we were talking about the number being around 80.
Yeah, and sure enough, that's exactly where it came in. I mean, $80 million on its second weekend for not a great film, not a terrible film, but not a great film. But still, this, Ann and I went to have dinner the other night, and we sat on an outdoor patio that was right beside. We went to this Italian restaurant, had a beautiful outdoor patio, and it was literally right beside a big Edwards movie theater. And the whole time we were sitting there having dinner, people coming in and out, and you knew they were there to see Minecraft. So, Rob, I wanted to ask you, this movie has clearly got very strong legs. I think everybody kind of acknowledges it's not the best movie, but it's really capturing something with people's imaginations going back. What it is about this film that has just captured the pop cultural consciousness so well.
Well, did you see that on I think it's April 20th? They're leaning into the chicken jockey screenings,
And they're gonna have a special screening of it.
special screening. So, I mean, they're embracing the chaos. I think that Minecraft is such a part of a whole generation's childhood that this becomes, in a way, I mean, I don't want to totally compare it to Barbie, but Barbie has the same thing. Barbie has been a culturally relevant product for half a century. With Minecraft, it was a product of something that could only exist in the 21st century. So we have a generation of kids, or two generations of kids, that this represents their childhood in the way not a lot of things could. So it becomes an event. It becomes what people want out of movies, to have a shared experience. Everybody going into that theater has common ground. And in a way, it's kind of refreshing to see real people getting together to celebrate their love or their nostalgia for Minecraft. And I think it offers something that you don't normally see. There's a compatriot or a compadre nature to going to see Minecraft with your fellow Minecraft life partners, I guess. And that's what we're seeing. And I love it. I think it's great.
I mean, I tried to look for a ticket on a Friday, and there was only one showing, and it was 3D, and it was still full. They're gonna get my my viewing this coming weekend. So
Go
can't
on
wait
the
to see the
20th.
third weekend results.
Yeah, again, like and Jonathan was talking to me too. He was like, he was pointing out that the Monday numbers were really strong.
Yeah.
And then he came and was like, the Tuesday numbers were really strong.
Spring break.
And I'll tell you what, like I started to think throughout the week when I was looking at the midweek numbers, I was like, you know what? It's going to have a less than 50% drop. Like, and by the way, I want you guys to understand, when you have a movie that opens as big as Minecraft did, like $160+ million, you expect the second weekend drop off to be bigger. So you may hear a 50% drop and you might think, well, that's not, that's good, but it's not that great.
Right.
When you open to 160 something million dollars, a 50% drop is outstanding.
Yeah.
There was like, what was it? Spider-Man No Way Home had like a 70% drop because it had such a huge, massive opening weekend, much bigger than Minecraft's, but still. So for it to take a 70% drop is absolutely nuts. And by the way, I found out that my friends Matt and Jaylyn, Matt was on our Filthy Sports and stuff like that. They have a young guy. They have a little one named Obi, and yes, he is named after Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is why I think these are the two of the coolest people I know. But Obi, apparently, I'm something of a hero to Obi. Found out,
Yeah,
because he dreams of being a YouTuber. It's like cool. So I'm the Uncle John. He doesn't actually get to see all that much, and I'm really cool. But I found out that's all done. That's over. That's done. It's finished. I'm dead to him now. Because apparently he saw my review of Minecraft, saying I did not think it was the greatest thing ever. And apparently now I've been told that I am now dead to this kid.
that's right, Obi.
You're out of the family,
buddy.
Tom.
I am absolutely
Hold your ground, buddy.
I am dead to this kid. So anyway,
And John hates Bluey, Obi. You hear that? Just kidding.
I don't hate
I know.
Bluey. I don't hate Bluey.
Wow, you're digging a hole. Wow, digging a hole.
Anyway, guys,
Yeah.
the question is for you. What do you think about this? Listen, an $80 million second weekend is absolutely insane. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of the MCU movies that didn't have great reception, but I actually quite enjoyed quite a bit, was Eternals.
Me too.
I thought it was like a really excellent, not one of the best Marvel films, but it was a very different Marvel film. They approached it totally different than others. And you know what? I liked it more every time I saw it. It's kind of like Avengers
Age of
Age of
Ultron.
Ultron like that for me. Like the more I saw it, the more I liked it. Anyway, the big question, but there's no denying that it did not do well at the box office. There's just no way to cut it. It just did not do well at the box office at all. So a lot of questions that have floated around that, despite the fact at the end of the movie, it said the Eternals will return. Where? When? Now, according to the actress who plays Makari, who, by the way, one of the things I loved most about Eternals was Makari, particularly her relationship with, what's the character's name?
Druig.
Druig and Makari. I loved their relationship in the movie. I thought they were great. But apparently she's casting some water on the idea that we're ever going to see them again. This comes to us from Comic Book Movie, who wrote the following. Our last update from Kevin Feige at D23 Brazil last year was at least somewhat hopeful when he said he was, quote unquote, very proud of the Eternals. That cast was incredible. We'd be lucky to get any of them back at some point. Unfortunately, Lauren Ridloff, who plays Makari, isn't quite so optimistic about the potential MCU return. Ridloff was asked by the Direct if we can expect to see the Eternals in the MCU again now that the new Avengers movies are preparing to shoot. And she said this, not likely. I don't know. My magic 8 ball is telling me not likely. So, when we saw the ads for Captain America Brave New World and saw the Celestial coming out of the ocean again, it's like, oh, they're finally acknowledging the events of Eternals and what happened there. Started to raise some optimism that maybe we would see the Eternals back again. Rob, it's not sounding like it. Now, it's absolutely possible that they could, we could see different characters from the Eternals pop up. You know what? Kevin Feige's already said we're going to get more cast announcements for Doomsday. I wouldn't be shocked to find Gemma Chan's name being on the list or something like that. But it kind of sounding like, as far as any hope for an Eternals 2, that may be gone. How did you interpret what she said, and what do you think?
I think you're right. I mean, Eternals was not as well liked as anybody hoped. I, like you, liked the movie a lot. I mean, I saw it more as a speculative science fiction movie. I really enjoyed it. As I said, I really liked the cast as well. And it's disappointing. I mean, I thought the ramifications of Arishem the judge showing up at the end saying he's going to come back and judge the earth was really surprising. They let that dangling plot point. I mean, that's one of the reasons I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe in phases 5 and 6, or 4, 5, and 6, have not been as successful as they possibly could have been. But yeah, it's too bad, because I really did like the film a lot. But yeah, I don't think there's much hope. But I do think we're going to see various Eternals show up. Whether it's Thena, whether it's Gemma Chan, whether it's who knows.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my next question to you. Was who do you think would be the most likely ones? Because
I mean, I could see Angelina Jolie coming back.
Really, you think Angelina?
I mean, I don't know if
she
would, but in a movie like Avengers Endgame, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, I think anybody, I think Charlize Theron's going to show up at some point. I don't know after Multiverse of Madness, we only saw her for a second. I think a lot of actors and actresses will show up and do bits or cameos here and there if they don't have to be there for months at a time. So I think, why not? And seeing there, especially in Secret Wars, could do some really interesting stuff. So I think we might see Eternals come back. I don't know if we will see Eternals, but I could see Druig coming back. I mean, in the X-Men Avengers Eternals comic series, Druig was a big player in that. And I definitely could see something like that happen.
I would guess that the two most likely, because I would be shocked if Jolie came back, but that would be kind of cool if she did.
Yeah.
I think the two most likely, I already said Gemma Chan. I think they clearly, because remember, Gemma Chan was also in Captain Marvel. They've used her. They really
and she comes to me in my dreams usually on a daily basis, sometimes weekly. So
She's stunning. She's absolutely stunning.
My God.
The other one I could see, honestly, is Kingo. I could see Kumail Nanjiani.
He's come back too.
Yeah, I could totally see him coming back as well. And then there's some of the other characters. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, according to the actress who plays Makari, it's not likely that we're going to get an Eternal soon. I don't think that news would surprise anybody. But do you think we could still get characters popping up in different iterations? Maybe some of those ones that went off on the deep space chase at the end might come back. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on and talk about this, shall we? Say his name 3 times, Beetlejuice, 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 because apparently a third one is indeed coming. According to stories that are coming out right now, including this one here on Joe Blow, it's looking like Beetlejuice, according to the studio heads, DeLuca and Abdi, is coming back, and we're going to get a third film. We're going to get a third film. And I'll tell you what, I feel a little bit torn about it, to be honest with you. First of all, let's go back over and see what Joe Blow has to say. They said Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice was a big success for Warner Brothers. It wasn't that successful. We'll talk about that in a second. Grossing over $451 million worldwide. I'm pretty sure you know what the number means. Sequel. While speaking with Deadline, Warner Brothers CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi, who still have their jobs, revealed that Beetlejuice 3 is in the works. However, it's not quite official yet, but they did say imminently, DeLuca said. The ink might not be dry, on the deals yet, but imminently, saying that we can expect a Beetlejuice 3 announcement. Now, like the article said, the movie made a little over a Black Adam, made $451 million, which, hey, is way more than the first one made and is nothing to sneeze at. I found that when talking about Beetlejuice, the second film, a lot of people talk about it in terms like it was some world breaker, like it just made some amazing amount of money. It did well. But it's not like it was shattering records. $451 million. Again, for a movie like this, it did well. It did good. I honestly didn't think it did good enough to get a third film, but apparently Tim Burton and crew all had an amazing time working on it. I mean, we were at CinemaCon and we saw Michael come out and Jen Ortega come out. They all came out and they just talked about what an absolute blast they had making the film. Tim Burton seemed to be revitalized because of it. So he seemed really big into it. So I suppose it shouldn't surprise us that much. I will say, for those of you who might remember this, I'm one of the few people, I didn't actually think the movie was very good. I'll be straight. And I really liked the first Beetlejuice. I thought this one was, I don't know. I just, frankly, I thought there was one funny moment. And of course it had to do with Catherine O'Hara about the moose call and everything. That was hilarious. I laughed my guts out in the theaters. Other than that, I didn't find the movie funny. Like the whole, who played his wife, the one he married, and Monica Bellucci.
Monica Bellucci, yeah.
Monica Bellucci, who is straight up top 10 most beautiful human beings ever born on the face of the earth. When you really get down to it, her character was completely pointless to the movie. You literally could have taken an edit and taken all of her scenes out and nothing about the movie would change. So I wasn't a big fan of the film myself, but they are doing a third one. Rob, what did you think about the second film, and what do you think about the announcement that they're coming back and doing a third?
I think they were planning on doing that direct to streaming at first.
Initially, yes, that's right.
So kind of like Evil Dead Rise, and I think for a movie that was originally supposed to be a streaming film, it turned out a lot more successful than they hoped. That's why I think they think of it as a pretty much of a hit. It probably didn't break the bank either. Look, it's like Ghostbusters Afterlife and making Frozen Empire or whatever. You're reviving an old franchise, and I think where they really have success, but we don't hear about it, is it was probably a huge hit on Max. Huge numbers.
Right.
Everybody watches it over and over and over again. So I think a movie like that these are bread and butter franchises that I think Warner Brothers can get a lot out of. And I want Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi's time at the studio to be successful. I want to see them get over this difficult hump. And I think Minecraft could open the door to that. We've heard Michael DeLuca say some really positive things about Superman. I mean, people would say, well, why wouldn't he? But he seems to be sincere in that. And I think doing Beetlejuice, following up a success with another success, maybe not a $1 billion success, but you're not throwing good money after bad. You definitely throw good money after good. And that's a great thing. And if they love making it, and you don't pull a Joker folie et deux and make Beetlejuice for $200 million.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make that movie, call it a price. Then it makes sense.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The Warner Brothers chiefs have said they are imminently about to announce the official deal for them to do Beetlejuice. I'm sure that's going to be the title.
It has to be.
Or Beetlejuice Cubed or whatever it's going to be called. Whatever you guys think about that, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, as we get a little bit further into April now, the box office numbers for movies that came out in March have now clearly come into focus and into shape. And I gotta say, this weekend, when I was going around my YouTube feed, I saw a number of kind of editorials pop up about people talking about, you know, the March box office and how it was. I saw a number of them. And one of the things that really did stand out to me is that overall performance, March ended up being one of the worst months ever. Now, a lot of movies came out in March. So if you just look at the overall, how much money did the box office make in March? It's bad, but it doesn't look all that terrible. But when you consider all the movies that came out in wide release, and there were a lot of them, and how badly almost all of them did, I got to say, it's probably one of the worst months ever. And I thought we would take a moment here to go over 13. Like I said, there were a lot of movies that came out in March. I'm not even talking about the limited releases. All these films officially got wide releases, which means at least 700 theaters or more across North America. All right. We'll start off with this one. Mickey 17. Mickey 17 made $127 million at the worldwide box office. I guarantee you they were thinking this was a $400 million film.
Yeah.
And now you might look at the production budget of 120 and think, oh, so it made money. No, it didn't make money. Because of that 127, about 30% of it goes back to the movie theaters, and you're not even counting the marketing budget yet. So Mickey 17 did not end up doing so well with them. Also, this one was horrible. The George R.R. Martin inspired In the Lost Lands with Dave Bautista and Mila Djokovic. That movie cost $55 million to make. Wide release. Made $4.8 million. This is like a factor of 10 under its production budget. That has got, not in the grand total, but I mean, that's got to make it one of the biggest box office flops ever by a factor of
And
10.
half of our viewers are going, wait, I've never even heard of that movie, which is part of the problem.
Part of the problem with a number of these movies is there's many of these movies that did not get a big, robust marketing campaign. But I saw ads for In the Lost Lands, not a ton of them, but I saw the ads and it looked terrible. But so it didn't do so good. Okay, so that was In the Lost Lands. Then there was another little movie that I saw one trailer for once. Queen of the Ring, starring the girl who played Felicity Smoke in Arrow, and Josh, what's the actor's name? He was in Hulk, and he was the main love interest in Sweet Home, or what was it called?
Yeah,
Josh Lucas.
Well, yeah,
Josh Lucas. Thank you. Josh Lucas and this girl, about basically based on a true story about the first world famous female wrestler. I couldn't find the production budget of it. It did get a release in over 800 theaters. Made $632,000. $632,000. I will say this though, Felicity Smoke got jacked for this movie. She'll look great in this, but again, made absolutely nothing. All right. Then we got onto a film that I really liked, and one was one of the best performers of the month. Novocaine. Novocaine made $33.5 million in an $18 million budget. So when it's all said and done, I think this movie's actually going to eke out a little bit of a profit. So good for them. I like the movie a lot, but we're talking about one of the most successful movies of the month, and it made $33.5 million. Then Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up, over 1,000 theaters in North America, made $11 million on a $15 million budget. Again, that is $15 million budget plus whatever they spend on marketing, and that $11.3 million minus the 1/3 that the theaters keep. This one, again, it was another money loser for them. All right. Then we had a really good movie, Black Bag. This was saw Kate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, James Bond, dude from whatever the period piece show is.
And Steven Soderbergh directing. Made $35.5 million at the
box office, but it was a $50 million budget. And so again, also did not do well. Then I saw trailers for it, but I'll be honest with you. Even though I saw trailers and I saw marketing for this, I didn't even realize it opened. Opus, John Malkovich. Cost only $10 million to make. Ended up making $2.1 million. And again, a wide release on tons of theaters. I did see some ads, but even though I saw ads, like I said, I didn't even know the movie had already opened. Like that's how kind of came and went so badly. Then there was this little sci-fi movie with Isa Gonzalez and dude from Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul, called Ash, that I thought looked really interesting.
Yep.
Turned out the movie was terrible. And even though it got a wide release, and this is when I couldn't find the production budget for it, I guarantee you it was more than $1 million. The movie made $1 million at the box office.
Was that directed by Flying Lizard?
It might have been.
I mean, seriously, that's the guy's name.
That's his name?
Yeah.
I
think it's Flying Lizard or Floating Lizard, Flying Lizard.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Shock. Absolute shock. So that was Ash. Oh, and there's more, folks. There's more. Then this was a remake. This was an Anthony Hopkins, Bill Skarsgård remake of a European film that was really good. I saw it like 6 months ago. But I didn't see the remake of it. It was called Locked. Again, I couldn't find the production budget for it, but it did get a wide release, made $2.1 million.
People said the movie was good too.
The basic idea of Locked is this kind of thug kid, like breaks into cars and steals cars, but he breaks into the wrong car because the guy put it there as a plant. This rich guy who's off his apartment, where as soon as the guy gets into his car, the car locks up. People outside can't see into it, and he's trapped. And there's
sucks.
no way out. And like he's getting starved to death. He's getting like all this kind of stuff. And Anthony Hopkins is like the guy. Again, it's a remake, but not a lot of people knew about the original film. And again, made $2.1 million. And again, I couldn't find the production budget on it, but I'll tell you right now, the production budget was more than $2.1 million. Great concept for a movie. Then another film that actually had some modest success. Finally, I mean, Novocaine, modest. Jason Statham, my guy. I love Jason Statham. His new Jason Statham movie, A Working Man. On a production budget of $40 million, worldwide box office $71 million, this thing made a small profit. And a big win for them. Again, only $71 million, but at least it was profitable. Can't say that about most of the films that opened up in March. Remember, guys, all these movies are just March, okay? Still got a couple more to go. A movie I really liked. Not everybody did, but I had a good time with, man. Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd's Death of a Unicorn. I had a good time with, it's not going to be in my top 20 movies of the year, but I had a good time with this movie. Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, your guy who played the old school Loki, who in Loki.
Oh, Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant, the woman from Madam Secretary, Tia Leone. Excellent cast. But again, Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega. This movie didn't even make $10 million. Made $9.8 million on a very inexpensive $15 million budget. Still, nobody went to go see it. I think, again, and half the critics didn't like it. I did. I thought it was fun. Then there's one that looked really creepy, and it also had modest success. The Woman in the Yard. Production budget of $12 million, made $21 million.
And that's a Blumhouse.
That's a Blumhouse production. Again, looks creepy as hell. Yep. Again, it only made $21 million, but a modest success because it only cost $12 million to make. Then there was another one. I don't have the totals on this one, Ray. That's
right. Sorry. Which one?
It was just Snow White.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I forgot.
On a budget of about $250 million, Snow White ended up making about 170.
181.
181 is what it's 181 million. Again, remember, that's minus marketing. I mean, not including marketing, which adds to the cost. And they did market this one a lot. And minus the theatrical take. And this ends up being not proportionally the biggest flop of March, but numerically there's the biggest flop of March.
Yeah.
And so again, like just once more, just look at these movies, man. Almost every one of them failed. Mickey 17, Lost Lands. I mean, there's just so many of these, and so many of them did so bad. Rob, the basic mantra around the industry, getting close to the end of 2024, the mantra was, and you heard it, you guys probably heard it too, survive to 25. Because there's a big hope being placed in 2025. Not a lot in the earlier movies of the month, other than they were hoping Snow White would do better. And it looks like Minecraft might be turning things around. And we still got a number of monstrous films coming out this year. But this was a horrible month. What stands out to you when you look at this?
Well, you know, like you said, we cover movies for a living. I mean, on a daily basis, I've got my head in whether I'm reading the trades, whether I'm reading different sections of video or analysis on Puck, whatever it is I'm reading, I'm thinking about the entertainment business most of my waking hours. There are movies that I was even unaware of that were opening. And I watch all the trailers. I'm really pretty abreast of this stuff. I really do believe that if you're going to put a movie in theaters, you've got to market it. And there's ways to market movies that aren't necessarily, you can put anything you want up on TikTok. You can put anything you want up on Instagram. They're not marketing these movies in ways that I think that the audience that might enjoy them. Like, look, Black Bag was great. It was a really cool movie that had a great pedigree, and they could have done some really innovative marketing for that film, which they did not do. And I think that I really think that the marketing divisions of the studios need to rethink how they're getting the word of mouth out on these movies. And it's kind of a bummer because, look, whether you love Novocaine or not, I love Companion. Companion, I think, should have made $50 million.
Companion was really fun, but that wasn't a March film.
No, it was. But again, I think the marketing really let that movie down. It was much better than people gave it credit for because not enough people saw it. But the people that did see it, I think, really had a good time. And I think some of these movies you can't. Black Bag was a lot of fun too. You know, it was a really thoughtful, it was an adult movie. It was so much fun. Star power, really well made. 90 minutes. You know, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a nice, crisp.
Yeah, and it worked. And I'm like, how do you not market this as like the cool movie of March 2025 and turn it into an event where people need to go see this to be cool?
You know what? You know what they did? They led into the drama in the marketing. They leaned into the drama and completely ignored the thriller aspect of it. And I think for that movie, if they had leaned, because that was a far more thrilling movie than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I know.
And if they had leaned into that in the marketing instead of just this is a drama about a man who's questioning his wife's loyalty. They just took the wrong approach.
No, and they got to make it like these two people, like go more Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like these two people are you two of the most beautiful people, the most dangerous people. They might want to kill each other or whatever. Just give me a little P.T. Barnum in this, man. Learn how to market a film.
Little showmanship. But listen, some of our viewers have been writing in and accurately pointing out, listen, the year picks up now, right? We've got, obviously, Minecraft is out there right now. It looks like it's on its way to $1 billion. Sinners is going to be a hit. It's not going to be an $800 million film, I don't think, as an R-rated violent vampire movie. But it's going to make a bunch of money. We've got the new Jurassic. They just always make $1 billion. I don't know if this one will, but it'll make a lot of money. We've got Superman. We got Avatar, Fire and Ash. We've got Thunderbolts. We've got Fantastic Four. And there are more.
Yeah.
I mean, 2025 is still set up to
How
look
to Train Your
good,
Dragon live action.
which, by the way, is amazing. I loved we've already saw it at CinemaCon. They showed us the full screening of How to Train Your Dragon.
And you've got Zach Kreger's Weapons coming out, which I cannot wait for,
really
blowing
good.
up the box office in August. You've got, I don't know when Lionsgate's The Long Walk is coming out.
Oh God, I can't wait for that movie.
Bring that on. Bring on, I mean,
F1 is coming.
F1 looks amazing. Bring on The Running Man. Hell, man, Lionsgate should team up with Running Man's Paramount, and they should do a Stephen King double feature. It's not Barbenheimer. Make some Stephen King multi-studio. They should team up and release them on the same weekend.
So with these numbers, is it safe to say that this March or this last March is going to be the lowest performing month for the 2025?
Here's what I
Dude,
think.
Mission Impossible comes out next month.
Mission Impossible. That's the question. See, I think the thing is, so many movies came out that when you add all the numbers together, it's not going to look like it's that bad. It was just so we might have another month this year that maybe has a lower box office total, but I don't think you're going to have another month where the per wide release movie box office average will be as low as this one. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Also, you good Canadian kid, one of my favorite directors,
Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg, next week, The Shrouds, baby.
March
with one of the
Madness,
most
baby.
uplifting premises for a movie ever.
And by the way, a movie I might be going to see tonight if it's the secret screening. By the way, if any of you guys know what the secret screening is at AMC, there's whispers that the AMC screen unseen tonight, because last week was Drop, which I really enjoyed. There's word that tonight's going to be The Accountant 2. And I think this is not going to be a huge movie. Accountant 2 is not going to be huge, but I think it'd make a nice little amount of money. So I'm hoping that's going to be playing at the screen unseen tonight.
Yeah, you're very excited for that one.
Oh, I love the first one. You know what? My business manager got a hold of me, and apparently he had never seen the original Accountant. He's just always heard me talk about how great it is and all that kind of stuff on the show. He said, that looks stupid. So he finally watched it, and he texted me yesterday going, why did I wait 9 years to watch this movie? This movie's great. That's right. The Accountant is great. I can't wait to see The Accountant 2. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? March, no other way to put it, complete disaster. March was an absolute, utter disaster. But remember, 2024, also up till April, looked like a big disaster. Like you had Furiosa bombed, Fall Guy bombed, even though both of those are great movies. And then all of a sudden some hits started to come out. We got a lot of big movies coming out in the rest of this year. Can it turn it around? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Avengers Doomsday is coming. And you probably saw this image floating around online all over the place. Supposedly a picture of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. And there have been several major debates. Debates ranging from, is this even real? A lot of people saying, I don't believe it. And if it is real, is it any good? Do people like it? MCU fans split over the Doctor Doom leak, and we can see why, and all this kind of stuff. So I wanted to throw in my kind of 2 cents on this. All right. Number one, it is very possible that this picture is fake, right? Obviously, there'd be a lot of motivation for people who like to. It's a fake. There's a lot of motivation to put out fake stuff and put it out there and all that kind of stuff, right? Absolutely, 100% could be fake. I don't know if it's fake or not. Very well could be. I'm going to tell you that I think it's real. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's real. And also why I don't think, if it is real, and I have no idea if it is real, why I don't think it's a big deal that this picture came out. So let's first get to why I think it's real. The reason I think it's real, and again, I'm just purely guessing, I won't be shocked to find out that it's a fake, okay? The reason I'm going to lean towards that I'm thinking that it's real is that if you were going to make a fake picture of this, I don't think this is the picture you make. For those of you who saw the full image, okay? The full pictorial image. He's not standing on a green screen. He's standing on a white slide. He's standing on a photo shoot set. You could see that it's got the curved white. That's what they do in these photo shoots. They have a white wall, but also it's not a wall that comes down and has a hard edge to the floor. It slopes out like this to remove any angle shadows and all that kind of stuff. And off, you can see because of the angle of the photo off to the side, there's literally a light stand and all that kind of stuff. It looks like, I'm just thinking, if you're going to fake this picture, and it could be fake, but I'm saying if you're going to fake this picture, why would you do it on something like this? So absolutely could be fake. I'm guessing it might be real. Now, if it's real, the reason I don't think it's actually a big deal that this came out is because if it's real, then this picture is clearly being taken on a promotional photo shoot. This picture, if it's real, look at the way he's standing. This isn't in the middle of a movie shot. This is still photography. This is going to be popping up on the side of a McDonald's cup. This is going to be popping up on the side of a McHappy Meal. This is going to be on the front of a cereal box. This is going to be something that's used in promotion. In other words, the reason I don't think that if this is real, that it's a big deal that's coming out now, is that clearly this is going to be an image that comes out before the movie's out anyway. This is a photo made for public consumption.
Do you think this is something maybe Hasbro, the action figures, they're taking photo maybe to mold the action
toy
figure?
Packaging. Yep,
Yeah.
this could be a photo for toy packaging.
Or Hot Toys Rob?
Or a hot toy.
Look at the light on his face. It looks like it's a dramatic photo shoot for a style guide or something else. But I would go even further. You know, a lot of people are complaining. I think this is from a promotional shoot that has nothing to do with Doomsday. I think this is a promotional shoot that we're going to see in a product either from Thunderbolts, probably not, but most likely Fantastic Four, because I think this is a Doctor Doom iteration that is not Doctor Doom. I think this is Victor Von Doom before something befalls him and sends him on a different path.
So let's get the two questions here to you. Number one, do you think the picture is real?
Yes.
And then, so that's the answer to that question. You do think it's real. What do you think about the image?
I think it's exactly what you said. I think it's from a promotional shoot that's either from a product style guide. Because if you look at, like, for instance, I hate to bring it up again, but if you look at Star Trek, for instance, if you look at, say, if you buy Exo 6 action figures, for each iteration of the show, they have this artwork that is on all of their product. And it's split across whatever it is. And it's something along the lines of what this shot is of Doom. Same thing, if they're going to have action figures. If Doctor Doom shows up in Fantastic Four, which I suspect he must, if it's a post, of course they're going to have him everywhere. Like after the movie comes out. Whether it is on Big Gulp cups, whether it is on a Happy Meal, whether it is on toys or action figures or a Lego set or whatever. He's the Happy Doom. Before he goes doomy 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 doom doom. He's Happy Doom before all hell breaks loose.
Okay, but you still haven't answered this question. What do you think about the image? Like, do you like
do I like?
the
Yeah, I mean,
outfit?
look,
Like, do you not like it? How do you feel about it?
he looks very regal. He looks very like King Doom. Like, he looks like a guy that I would follow. He doesn't look angry. We see his face. It's before the fall, and I like it. Like, he has a certain iteration of his armor. That's not the armor, that's not God Emperor Doom. That's a version of the armor. I mean, how many Iron Man armors have we seen in the MCU? Many. This is just one iteration. This is Sage-like Jor-El Doom. He's Jor-El Doom.
Jor-El Doom.
He's Jor-El Doom right here. That's what it is.
What do you think about, I mean, it could just be a dent in the armor, but a lot of people are speculating the thing in the middle is an arc reactor. What do you think it's an arc reactor? Do you think it's just a dent in the armor? If it is an arc reactor, what does that
I think
make
it
you
is an arc reactor, and I have a theory. I do think that the Doom and whatever's going on is Tony Stark. It's Tony Stark who went the wrong way. I think it is an iteration of Stark, and people are going to get mad. Oh, it's got to be Victor Von Doom. But why cast Tony Stark as a complete... I mean, you can cast him as Victor Von Doom if you want, but it's a multiverse story. And what did Tony Stark want to do? He wanted to build a suit of armor around the world. Well, what if he stayed head of Stark Industries? And what if he made munitions? And what if he never fought Obadiah Stane and he became... If the Tony Stark at the beginning of Iron Man 1 went a different way, and it wouldn't even surprise me if we get a flashback to Iron Man 1 or something, and we see Tony Stark go on a different path, a road less traveled, the It's a Wonderful Life Tony Stark that went a different way. I'd love that. That'd be cool.
You know what the armor reminds me of? Have you guys seen Infamous Iron Man?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that. I actually dig this armor. I think it looks great. He looks great. A little Kenny Rogers, Odin.
A little Kenny Rogers.
Mixed there. Like I have to get past the head, like his new hair, and like his look, but the suit itself looks so cool. I'm actually really digging it.
Here's like this is going back to a theory that I proposed back when they announced Robert Downey Jr. The theory I have is that he's not a Tony Stark variant, but rather Tony Stark is a variant of him.
Right. Yeah.
And I went back. Here was my overall theory, was that like many, 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 many people in America, there's a lot of families that do not have the names that their ancestors had. A lot of times when families would come over to North America, Canada, or the US, sometimes they would change their names. So here's the theory I had. What if Tony Stark's, great-great-grandfather, they lived in another country, let's say, I don't know, Latveria.
Yeah.
And at some point they came over to America, changed the name from, Von Doom to Stark. And so Tony's great-grandfather was here, his grandfather and his dad, and he was here, and that's him. Now, what if you go back to the actual guy? Like if Tony Stark is the variant, and you go back and Tony's great-great-great-grandfather never left Latveria. And Tony's grandfather and Tony's dad and Tony, whose real name is Victor, and now they are known as the Von Dooms. And he becomes king there, but has canon event. Remember in Spider-Man, they talk about canon events? Canon event still happens to him, that something happens. He has to put in like some kind of arc reactor.
Sure.
And so actually Tony Stark is a variant of Victor Von Doom. Victor Von Doom is the core character. I mean, I don't know. These are just the theories.
But I mean, it is a multiverse story.
Yes,
and it's like,
Yep.
you got to think like, why would they do a multiverse story and not lean into something like this? And it makes sense. Plus, I think it's cool. For everybody screaming that Victor Von Doom has to be exactly like he is in the comics. Well, which comic? Which comic does he have to be like?
There's many variations.
You don't have to go some obscure way, but you got to think. I mean, first of all, the whole point about multiverses, what makes them fun, is you get to see variants of people. And if you go back to what Kevin Feige understands, which is Star Trek, what was really interesting about Star Trek second season's Mirror, where you got to see everybody's quote unquote evil counterparts. And you meet the evil bearded Spock. And he's this elegant guy. And Kirk even says, you're a man of integrity in both universes, Mr. Spock. And Kevin Feige, being a Star Trek fan, what is the obvious thing to do? You take the core of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is Tony Stark's Iron Man, and you show him going down the road less traveled. What if he became a villain? It is the central question that makes storytelling interesting. So you'll get to see all this stuff we've never seen before, watching our beloved Tony Stark break bad and go down a different path. I love that idea, and I want to see it.
By the way, I do want to bring this up. One of our viewers, I am JMS, wrote, he better look like the comic accurate Doom. To the point that Rob just brought up. Which comic accurate Doom?
Right.
Doom has had like 43 variations to his looks. I mean, every time you look at him, you can see that's Dr. Doom. But he's had multiple. So when you say he better be comic accurate, which comic accurate? But there's so many different versions.
There'll always be a little MCU spin on the Thor costumes, right? This kind of looks like a Thor costume too. Like a little bit. There's a little bit of Thor in there.
There's a little Asgardian in there.
Yeah, you recolor the cape red.
Which is possible, because if you are a variant and you've been to Asgard or interact with Thor, why wouldn't you incorporate a little Asgardian armor?
Asgardian technology.
Just like if you went to Westeros, I got to get some Valyrian steel. Give me some Asgardian armor. I mean, there's so many things you could do. And remember, you got to put aside the comics. You have the MCU as it has existed since 2008. So in our MCU, that's what we have. You've got to put aside the comics. The MCU's been informed by the comics, but now the MCU has its own history. So how did this variant of Tony Stark, aka Victor Von Doom, aka we don't know yet, how does it work? How does he work? How has he worked in the MCU?
And the biggest question I have is, when he puts on that helmet, is he going to have the locks flowing from the back of the helmet?
No, I think
That's a legit question. Don't laugh. That's a legit question. I don't think he will, though.
that's why I think we're seeing a variant. We're seeing an iteration of Doctor Doom that is not the Doctor Doom we're going to meet in Doomsday. That's why I think he's an earlier iteration, and he hasn't broken as bad as he's going to be.
By the way, I just want to throw this in there. One of our viewers is saying the Council of Kang is still out there. No, they're not. At the end of Loki season 2, the whole postscript on it was they explained that the TVA was now going around picking off all the various members. So I don't think the Council of Kang is still out there.
And obviously from this picture, we're missing the helmet or mask, right? But Hasbro released recently like a Doctor Doom mask. I don't know if that one is going to be any idea, or that one's going to give us any idea of what the mask or the helmet's going to look like. I think that's important for me, at least, how the helmet looks.
I mean, here's the thing is, as long as the helmet, when you look at it, you instantly know, oh yeah, that's clearly Doctor Doom.
Right.
That's how I always feel about costumes in the superhero movies. Is like, as long as when I look at it, my first thing is I instantly know who the character is. Then the little details or the little changes, I don't really care about that. Like when I look at this, I see Doctor Doom.
Yeah, but the mask has to be menacing when he has that cloak and you see the shadows.
Oh, sure, but it can be a little bit different, but still.
Yeah,
be menacing,
right. Like,
right?
Yeah,
I don't think he doesn't need the mask yet. Whatever's going to befall him is going to be the reason he wears the mask. I think that, look, we're going to see the journey of this character. We're going to see his genesis and his journey that leads him to where he winds up. And that's why I think this is from Fantastic Four.
God, I mean, just for the record, I don't think he appears in Fantastic Four at all. I don't even think in a post.
I don't know either.
I mean, but
I just think he does.
It'd be pretty cool if he did. Guys, by the way, you even thought there might be a chance he pops up in Thunderbolts.
Maybe.
Which,
yeah, I mean, again,
I don't think so, but I also think would be cool.
And by the way, what if that is a Stark variant and it isn't Doctor Doom at all?
Right? It is the multiverse. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that image going around all over the place? Number one, do you think it's legit? Do you think it's real? It very well could not be. I kind of think it is. But, and if it is, do you like it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But Robert Meyer Burnett has got places to be and things he's got to do, so he's going to take off. We'll see you tomorrow, Rob.
Happy 10-year anniversary, John.
Yes, happy 10-year to you. We'll get on that Ferris wheel soon. But for now, guys, we're going to move over and start taking your comments and questions that you guys have sent in over the weekend to our tip link. So let's jump right into it here, shall we? We are going to start off with Old Danny Boy, who writes, for context, my daughter is a 65-year-old man stuck in a little 10-year-old girl's body. So while she did enjoy the movie Minecraft, she absolutely hated the kids talking and acting out during the movie. A week later, she still randomly brings it up. Yeah, again, I love enthusiastic audiences. I love cheering. I love laughing. But some of the stuff that we've heard about going on in the Minecraft stuff, that crosses a line. Now, again, we said this before, like, I want everybody to have a good time at the theater. But if you feel you need to do something in order to have a good time that comes at the expense of somebody else's experience, well, then you're just an asshole, right? And I don't care if you're 9, you're an asshole 9-year-old. I mean, and so I hope parents will control. Now, like Rob brought up earlier, some of the theaters are going to plan special screenings coming up where you can go wild and do all the stuff you want to do, throw the popcorn, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if I was in an audience and the theater was letting people act like that, I'd probably go get my money back. But that's just me. All right. Next up, we've got Wilberto, who writes, I thought episode 4 of The Studio was very clever in how the episode itself was an homage to Chinatown whilst taking place on the set of an in-show movie, which itself described as a Chinatown ripoff. I love this show. Also, there's a new documentary on Peacock called Becoming a Spectacle, a slick WWE produced making of / behind the scenes of WrestleMania 1993 in Las Vegas. You might like it, John. Cheers, guys. First of all, The Studio is amazing. And episode 4 which I thought was the least great episode of the series so far,
Yep.
was still great. I still loved it. Olivia Wilde, it's such a good episode. It's such a good show. I love it.
Zac Efron.
It's Zac Efron. I'll be honest though, I'm not interested in WWE produced stuff. I'm interested in wrestling documentaries, but not by the people who are trying to make themselves look good.
Right.
Like if somebody wants to make it, if there was a documentary about the putting together of WrestleMania 9, and if it was made by anybody else and produced by anybody else, I'd be interested. If it's produced by WWE, then it's just it's a commercial. It's a promotional piece. It's not a real documentary. Not to say that WWE hasn't made some really interesting stuff. Did you see their Undertaker one they made? The Last Ride, I think it was called. That was produced by WWE and it was great.
Yeah.
But something like this, I'm not really interested.
You're right. You're right. Especially like, I don't want to see Vince McMahon documentary if it's by WWE. You want it from an outside perspective, or like, I believe documentaries, you should always, I think it's good if you learn something from a documentary. That's why you're watching it. You want to know what happened or how something is made, this and that. If it comes from the source, then you may not got all the info that you want.
Yeah. And somebody else mentioned this in the live chat. The Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix was really good. All right. Next up. Flo, the Australian Mozart, or Austrian Mozart, writes,
Yeah.
Hey crew, do you think that Lobo will have a cameo only in Supergirl? No, he's a significant character. Since his comics are very nasty and gory, and he will have a solo R-rated movie like Deadpool, I can't imagine a PG-13 Lobo movie. Thank you. Bye. Greetings from Salzburg. No, he's not just a cameo. Now, I don't know if Lobo's going to be in like 55 minutes of the movie, but they've already confirmed he's a significant character in the film. So whether that means he's got 15 minutes of screen time, 20 minutes of screen time, 30 minutes of screen time, don't know. But I think what is very clear, Flo, is that Lobo's not just a cameo. Lobo is a significant character in the film.
Do you think the impact and the buzz that he could possibly generate from the Supergirl movie actually get him a solo movie? Like, because I can't say right now that they would do a Lobo movie. Nobody knows him. But let's say Supergirl, a lot of people watch it. People just talk, oh yeah, that character was so cool, this and that. Do you think that character is enough to get a solo film?
100%. I think in these comic book franchise films, their hope is almost every character goes over with the audience so much that they become their own viable franchise, right? So I guarantee 100%. I don't know if they've already got a solo Lobo movie planned, but I guarantee you that they would like to do a solo Lobo movie if the character goes over well in Supergirl.
They got the best guy right there.
Yeah,
Jason
they got
Momoa,
the guy to do it.
Money maker.
All right, next up, we got Dookie Shoes, who writes, I'm low-key excited for the Power Rangers series on Disney Plus with the showrunner from Percy Jackson. I think it has a lot of potential, and I quite enjoyed the 2018 movie. Do you guys think it's a good idea? For those of you who have not heard, the reports have come out that Disney Plus is looking at putting together a Power Rangers series on Disney Plus. And the key thing is it's coming from the producers and showrunners of the Percy Jackson series. I love the Percy Jackson series. I think they did a really good job with that. And by the way, even though I thought it was going to be total trash, I ended up liking that 2018 Power Rangers movie. I didn't think it was great, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. No, this is a stupid idea. No, Power Rangers are dead. Sorry, Power Rangers are dead. I would love to find out I'm wrong. I would love for this show to come out and be, but I remember when Power Rangers was coming out and I said, guys, this is not going to be a hit. Ray, maybe look at how much did that 2018 movie make? But I remember back when that movie was coming out and people were insisting to me that was going to be $1 billion film. People wrote in almost every day, this is going to be $1 billion film. And I said, no, it's not. John, you don't understand how popular Power Rangers are. Like, I don't care how popular you think they are. People are not going to go see the movie.
We're talking about the film from
2018.
2000s. Oh, yeah, 17. 142 million.
$142 million, right?
40 million opening.
It reminds me a lot of the Detective Pikachu stuff. John, you don't understand how popular Pokemon is. I don't care. It's not going to be $1 billion film. And sure enough, it wasn't. I listen. I hope to be pleasantly surprised the way the 2017, 2018 movie did. I hope to be pleasantly surprised by that. But I think this is a terrible idea. I hope it works for the people. I would love to have my mind changed, but I think it's a bad idea.
Would you at least say it's where it should be, a series, because of the results from the last movie?
Nope, I don't think it should be anything.
Oh, really?
By the way, DMXL is like completely ignorant, saying no one said it would make $1 billion. Child, you weren't there. We got messages all the time of people writing in saying, John, you don't know what you're talking about. This is going to be $1 billion film. So get out of here with this rewriting. Nobody said it would make $1 billion. Yes, they fucking did. Because I had to hear it all the time. And yeah, anyway. All right. Next up, we've got Butt Scratcher writes, saw a drop over the weekend, showed up at 8:09 for my 8 p.m. show, and the movie had already started. What the fuck, AMC? This is how it should be, honestly, but not when I'm conditioned to think 30 minutes of trailers. This is the biggest problem. I bring this up all the time. Because whenever I bring up start the movie, when you say you're going to start the movie, people then say, well, John, you know how long the trailers are, so just show up at, if the movie says 7, just show up at 7:25, because you know that's when it is. And like, that's great if they were consistent with that, but they're not. Every once in a while, I've had this now happen to me 4 or 5 times, that I've shown up when I think would still be plenty of time for the movie to start, but they take it, they manipulate you by then randomizing when the start time is. So they're like, uh-oh, you better show up when we say, if we say 7 o'clock, you better show up at 7, because you never know. Maybe we'll show 30 minutes of trailers. Maybe we'll only show 5 minutes of trailers. You just don't know. This is the most frustrating thing. So the fact that they tell you that a movie starts at 7 and then it doesn't start till 7:30 is bad enough. But then you try to, like you say, they condition you for it. So you try to time it, because you didn't pay $20 for a movie ticket to sit through fucking commercials. So you try to time it. And then when you do try to time it, you miss some of the movie because they actually ended up starting it early. It's so infuriating, dude. It is so infuriating.
Do you think it has anything to do with this? Just like how big of a release that the movie is?
Nope. It's all about manipulating the audience.
Oh, okay.
It's 100% about manipulating the audience. Anyway. All right. Next up, we've got Suthius, who writes, I'm seeing a lot of people defending the videos of teens causing chaos and being a-holes in theaters while watching Minecraft. As a parent, if my boys ever do something like this, I won't ground them. I'll go full-blown Super Saiyan on them. Not cool at all. No, it's not cool. And again, listen, I'll just say it again. I understand wanting to have fun in the theater, but if you having fun means having to do something that compromises somebody else's enjoyment, then you're just an asshole. You're just an asshole. Like, you want to go and cheer? Great. Cheering doesn't impact other people's enjoyment. You don't understand, John. I like tossing beer in the air when I'm having fun. Good for you if you're alone. But somebody else didn't go to the movie theater to get splashed by somebody else's beer. Again, having fun in the theater is great. But if it takes you doing something to have fun that compromises somebody else's experience, then you're just a selfish asshole. And I don't care if you're 12 years old, 24 years old, 46 years old. Doesn't matter. You're still an asshole. So now I appreciate the fact that some theater chains now are saying they're going to have special screenings, that they're going to do that. That's great. So now if you go to that, you know to expect that. That means you're signing off on it. I'm perfectly good with that. But yeah, people who act like that in theaters, I just think are assholes. Anyway, let's see. Next up, we've got Garden Variety Vagabond, who writes, John, Women of Wrestling, or WOW, is owned by Jeannie Buss. Yeah, Ann mentioned that to me. Controlling owner and president of the Lakers, daughter of Jerry Buss and wife of Jay Moore. Yep, I know who Jeannie Buss is very, very well. She's one of my wife's heroes, actually. Ann really loves Jeannie Buss. And she was the one who kind of pointed that out to me. All right. Next up, Matan Valensky writes, I feel that Pixar has become a bit too kiddie recently. Oh, I disagree completely. It can't be me growing up as It can't be me growing up as their old non-Cars films are still enjoyable as an adult. Elio feels too marketed for kids, and Inside Out 2 feels less adult friendly than the original. Okay, first I'll start with what I agree with. Elio does very, very much feel just very exclusively kid-centric. I agree with that. Elio does feel like that. Dude, half the stuff in Inside Out is going to go right over kids' heads. Like when they're going on about the depth of anxiety and what anxiety does, no kid's going to actually understand that. It was still done in a very kid-friendly way so kids can understand that. But that was stuff only adults who have really experienced it that is really going to hit. And that's the beauty of the first one as well. If you saw Elemental, it's an immigrant story. It's an immigrant story of generations and prejudices and stuff like that. Again, very, very kid-friendly, but also very adult-targeted at the same time. So while I agree with you about Elio, it does look, and they may surprise us when we see it, it does look very child-centric. Yeah, it does. The marketing feels that way. But Inside Out 2, no way. Elemental, no way. Soul? About death and the afterlife? No way. So I completely disagree with you. Yes, about Elio, but I completely disagree with you otherwise on that. All right. Next up, Chris H. writes, one of two. An idea I had for X-Men in the MCU without use of multiverse elements. Mutants have always existed. We've addressed this one before, but I'll finish reading your thing. Just unlabeled and unnoticed. Again, we've addressed this a dozen times, but let me finish reading what you wrote. There was an X-Men team, but Charles used Cerebro to erase all memory of them and mutants as a whole after public rejection. As the movie progresses, Charles realizes that hiding only empowered bigotry. He reforms the X-Men and by the end, publicly reveals them and mutant kind to the world. This upsets Magneto, who preferred secrecy, which could reignite their rivalry. All right, here's the problem with that. And many people over the years have had this exact theory. Here's the big problem with it. Professor Charles Xavier would have to use Cerebro to erase everybody's memories on the planet 45 times a day. Because what is the mythos of mutants? Around puberty, their mutation comes out. And it most of the time comes out in uncontrollable, unexpected ways. Whether it's suddenly their hands turn into hammers, laser beams come out of their eyes, they start to develop lizard-like scales and skins and all that kind of stuff. And that happens in front of people all the time. So as soon as one kid somewhere manifests a mutation, okay, Charles Xavier's got to get down to Cerebro and then go through the exhaustive process of having to wipe the minds and memories of everybody on Earth. There. 15 minutes later, some kid in El Salvador has the same experience. And it was done in public and people saw it. All right, got to go down to Cerebro again, wipes there. And by the way, that also doesn't touch on, what about mutants like Beast? What about mutants who do not look? What about mutants like Nightcrawler? Who every 10 seconds you have to erase everybody's memories. They look different. They have different experiences. So yeah, I would say the whole notion that they've always been there, they've just kept it a secret, is virtually impossible. If you follow the story and the mythology of X-Men, it's impossible to do that because literally Charles Xavier would have to wipe everybody's memories 40, 50, 60 times a day, every week, every month, every year. So I just don't see how they do it. Now, they've already kind of started introducing things like Ms. Marvel has a mutation, right? So maybe it's like they're going to say on our Earth, mutations are just starting, but maybe from another world, they've been around forever, the X-Men. So I don't know. Ultimately, I don't actually know. I'm just guessing and theorizing like any other fan like yourself. But, we'll see. But that's why I don't think that's a plausible thing, but we'll see what Kevin Feige has in mind, Chris. All right. Next up, we've got Rent Space in Your Head writes, one of two. We are the no fun society. The internet is freaking out that Johnny Storm won't be a womanizing jerk from a 2-sentence article. Oh noes! I miss the days of just going to a movie. I liked it, great, bought the DVD later or didn't and said, oh well. Nowadays, it's months of anger and hour-long diatribes of people angry and mad over a movie several months away over 2 sentences in an article. Why can't we just enjoy entertainment instead of letting it make us angry and quote unquote ruin our childhoods? Yeah, I mean, it's a very big thing in the online world. Again, look, there's a segment out there that has a very strong political agenda and they're trying to force it on everything. And if they see anything out there that even looks like an opportunity for them to grift, then they're going to grift. It's just part of the reality of the landscape that we're in. And we just have to get better at just ignoring them. Right. So we just have to get, you know what they are? They're the Westboro. If you guys remember these people, they're the Westboro Baptist Church of the fan community. And if any of you guys don't remember the Westboro Baptist Church, go look it up on Google. You see what I mean? But that's what they are. They're the Westboro Baptist Church of the fan community. But like I would always say, when the idiots at the Westboro Baptist Church lunatics would do something stupid, I would just say, look, they don't actually represent real people of faith. They don't actually represent real whatever. You just got to learn to ignore them. And eventually culture learned to ignore them. And I think that's what we've got to do with the grifter segment as well. Anyway, but that's just my thought. So don't get worked up about it. Just ignore them.
Yeah, enjoy the movies you watch. If it sounds like a perfectly healthy way you're going about it. That's, you described the way I go about the movies too. So it's great.
All right. Next up, we've got Lane J, who writes, watch The Ballad of Wallace Island. Is that the one where the guy like wins the lottery? I think that's the one. Anyway, watch The Ballad of Wallace Island this past weekend. So far, it's the best movie of 2025 for me. I have not seen it clearly. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and an overall great story. Wanted to put it on some folks' radar. Thank guys. Again, if I'm anybody in the live chat, it's the Carey Mulligan film. Yeah. That's the one where the guy wins. Winner. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I haven't seen it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even realize it had come out yet. That's how kind of non-existent the marketing has been, but I'm glad you really liked it. And I appreciate it, Lane, you putting it on the radar, because now I'm curious and I love Carey Mulligan. So yeah, that's on the radar. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. All right. Next up, we've got Cody Hunt Films, who writes, do you think you're going to bring back Movie Club? I remember thinking you'd do one for Jurassic Park since Dominion was about to come out back in 2022, but you stopped producing the show. Would love a deep dive into the film before Rebirth this July. We loved doing Movie Club. We really did. The problem with Movie Club, for those of you who don't remember or haven't been around long enough, Movie Club was basically me, Rob, and Ray. And like every week, we would take a film that was at least 4 or 5 years old. Sometimes it'd be 20, 30 years old. Sometimes they'd be 7 years old, whatever. We would take an older film and we'd revisit it. And we'd just do like a 20, 30-minute discussion just about that movie. And it was a lot of fun. Like we did Django Unchained. We did the Lord of the Rings films.
It was quite a joy for me because a lot of those episodes or shows, it was my first time watching a particular film.
For some of them, yeah.
Godfather, Alien, or Aliens, whichever one we watched. It was my very first time. So I really did like that show for that, at least. I don't know. It's John, you want to?
Well, I mean, the problem was it took a lot of man hours because I would have to spend 2 hours rewatching, because we always made sure we rewatched the film before we had a new discussion about it. So I had to spend 2 hours rewatching the movie. Ray had to spend 2 hours watching the movie. Rob would have to spend 2 hours watching the movie. Then we'd have to get together, do the production of it and stuff like that. And the reality is not a lot of people watched it. I mean, it did okay.
A lot of the times it was our third show that we were producing that
day. On the same day, yeah.
Because we would have a regular show, and then we would have the after show of something, and then we would do it
Then be
right after
doing-
that.
yeah.
So we were in the studio till like 8 sometimes. Pretty late.
Yeah, so it was a lot of effort and a lot of time for something that didn't get a lot of viewership on it. I loved doing it, but so we have a much lighter production schedule now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
I'm open to the idea of revisiting Movie Club
every now and then.
every now and I'm open to it.
For the-
Again, I just have to see if we can actually make it because like again, one of you guys remember about 2 years ago, we used to do a lot more shows than we do now. And I at one point made a decision, this isn't the way I want to do things. We are producing way too many shows, way too many videos. I'm working 12, 13, 14 hours a day. I can't live like that. And Anne was getting frustrated with it. And we made a decision about 2 years ago to massively scale back the amount of stuff that we were producing and how much I was working. So maybe we could do that today. And because we are so scaled back, I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe Movie Club can return. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? We are at Teddy D, who writes, I don't know if this was mentioned, but a way to establish Doom as the big bad would be to kill or defeat Gaia. Nope. Emilia Clarke right away. If Thanos beating up Hulk was scary, imagine taking out the most OP character right now with the power of every Avenger. Here's the big problem with that. There are two problems. Problem number one, I don't think Marvel is ever even going to acknowledge that show happened. I really don't. I think they're just going to go, shh. They're just going to, like, they're not going to retcon the show, I don't think. But I think they're basically just going to ignore everything that happened in the show. I don't expect that we're ever going to see Gaia again. But the second problem is this. Nobody watched it. Like only the most hardcore of Marvel fans watch any of the Disney Plus shows. I would go so far as to say, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but my guess is maybe 10%, 15%, 8% of the movie-going audience actually watched Secret Invasion. So if only about 10% of the movie-going audience actually watched Secret Invasion, it wouldn't do anything for them watching Robert Downey Jr. kill Emilia Clarke. Thinking, well, number one, who is this character? Never seen her, never heard of her. And why did her arms suddenly look like the Hulk's? Like they wouldn't know. So it would have zero impact on the audience. See, Thanos beating up Hulk, everybody knew Hulk. So that had a huge impact on everybody watching and understanding just how big and bad Thanos is. You suddenly have Emilia Clarke show up and everybody's going, why is Khaleesi here? Why is the Mother of Dragons showing up? Like they would have no idea who she is or why she was there. So unfortunately, I don't really think it would have the impact that you're thinking it would have, Teddy. That's just, I might be wrong about that, but that's just kind of my thought on it. All right. Next up, we got TJ Perry writes, Mason and Druckmann, these are the guys behind The Last of Us, are the LeBron/D Wade alley-oop meme. Everything worked. Shocked by how funny it was. Loved that they showed Ellie holding her breath with the sniper, and then how the stalker grunted to lure Ellie, then held her own breath as she creeped. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what. I think The Last of Us premiere last night was perfect? No, I don't. I don't think it was perfect, but I did think it was great. And I thought it didn't lose a step. And I thought it was a wonderful first episode for the new season, reestablishing the whole world. And they still have all that character, all that drama. And again, Craig Mazin shows he is a next level storyteller. And I loved it. And I cannot wait for the next episode.
They set the table quite nicely, didn't they?
Yeah, they set the table for the season perfectly. That's a good way to put it. All right. Next up. Danny B sends in a $20 tip. Thank you, Danny, for supporting us on that level, man. Danny writes, hello, John and crew. With Sinners coming soon, I cannot wait. It got me thinking about other vampire movies. A couple of my favorite ones are John Carpenter's Vampires and The Lost Boys. What are yours? You just named mine. Lost Boys. Lost Boys. People are strange when you're a stranger. I love Lost Boys.
I like 30 Days a Night.
30 Days a Night is another great one.
And also the future Blade movie.
The future Blade movie.
I hope if it does come out, it'll be one of my favorites or the favorite.
30 Days a Night was the movie I watched on my first date with your sister.
Oh, nice.
That was
I'll never watch that. No. Here's the thing. With the 30 Days of Night, we walked to Blockbuster. We saw it. This is how old it was. We walked to Blockbuster. I said, okay, let's watch this. We got it. It was, what a surprise. It was awesome.
I really love Ben Foster was in there. He was so great.
Terrifying. It was really terrifying. I had no idea Alaska went through that many months in the dark. I mean, come on, you learn something from movies every now and then.
There's some other really good ones. Let the Right One In was really good.
Yeah.
That one, like both the original and the North American versions, I think were both really good.
Also recently, isn't Abigail sort of like a vampire?
Abigail is super fun. I mean, Abigail is not one of my favorite vampire movies of all time, but Abigail was super fun. I really did enjoy that one. But yeah, for me, it's Lost Boys. Lost Boys, it's still to me the quintessential vampire movie. I love it.
And what's intriguing is we're all familiar with the vampire movies if you watch them. I wonder what Sinners does differently where it's getting so much praise. That's my biggest. There has to be something in the movie that's like, whoa, this is crazy. Or I don't know. It's just like, because, if you watch zombie movies, this and that, like you've mentioned before, John, like with the Godzilla movies, they're kind of like the same thing. It's just the way they deliver their product, or they show their product. There has to be something with the Sinners movie that a lot of people are digging. Like, it has to be different from Well,
I mean, it's obvious this isn't a traditional vampire movie.
Right.
This is more. Ryan Coogler said he was making a movie about the music and the South and like all that kind of stuff. It just so happens to also have vampires in it. So
very excited.
I'm very excited to see it. All right, next up. And thank you again, Danny, for supporting us on that level, man. Caleb writes, "Hey crew, I've been watching James Bond movies for the first time. I started with the Daniel Craig ones. My favorite is Skyfall so far. I love Skyfall. I heard some of the older Bond movies aren't as good. I guess my question would be, is there any I should skip? There are some truly terrible James Bond movies. But I would say this. Don't skip any of them. Like, if you really want to get a sense of what the whole legacy of James Bond is, I say watch them all. Every Roger Moore, every Lazenby, every Sean Connery, every Pierce Brosnan, obviously every Daniel Craig. I would say watch them all. I mean, you don't have to do it all in a week or a month or even in a year, but I would say get them all to get the full legacy of Bond experience. My favorite Daniel Craig one, actually my favorite James Bond film of all time, is actually Daniel Craig's Casino Royale. I really loved Skyfall as well, but Casino Royale, man, I love that one. I think that is my favorite one.
I still haven't seen any, but I think this is a great spot for me. So when Amazon MGM does put one together, maybe I'll start with that. And then if I like it enough, maybe go back. That's my plan of attack.
All right. Next up, we've got, who do we got? We got Harvs K, who writes, "The Sphere in Vegas," which is amazing, will be showing 1939's Wizard of Oz. Really? And I thought, for why? But I didn't know they're using Google AI to fill in / expand the vistas, backdrops, and sets beyond the original aspect ratio. AI is still scary, but it looks impressive. I'll tell you what. I remember when Photoshop, because I've been using Photoshop for a long time. When Photoshop introduced their generative fill feature, so I could do specifically that. There are times I was making thumbnails or making images, and it's like the image wasn't wide enough. And then I could go, just select over the blank space and say generative fill. And it would analyze the background and then just expand out the background. Now, it can do a lot more than that now, but I remember, to me, that was like one of the most revolutionary things, one of the most revolutionary advancements that Photoshop had ever done. I loved it. And I remember thinking, you can really if you want to do super wide format stuff, you could do that with movies as well. And it sounds like they're going to do that for The Sphere. And I'm excited. By the way, if you guys never seen The Sphere, go to Las Vegas just to see The Sphere, man. It's a technological wonder that they've done there. It's absolutely incredible. Anyway, thanks for that, Harps K. And I'm going to see if I can get tickets to that
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. I'm damn right I'm going to
sounds
check that
amazing.
out. All right, next up. Xenos writes, John, I can't believe that the Wheel of Time season 3 finale is this Thursday. What a fun ride it has been. But I'm so worried about a cancellation. For anyone who is waiting to binge, do it now because season 3 needs as many viewers as possible to get a season 4 renewal. Listen, I have not watched season 3. I watched season 1 and I thought it was okay. Season 2 was definitely better. I still didn't think it was super amazing, but it was definitely better and I quite enjoyed it. I have heard nothing but great things about season 3. Everybody is saying season 3 has been amazing. I have not gotten around to watching season 3 yet, but if it is as good as everybody's telling me, I really hope it does get renewal. So I'll go and check it out probably over the next couple of weeks.
I wonder if you could start with season 3.
I wouldn't go back and watch season 1. You'll only fully appreciate if you go right back to season 1, right? Because I think you won't be able to. Season 3, my guess is, won't be as good to you if you didn't already watch season 1 and 2. By the way, I think it's a show worth watching. Check it out. All right. Xenos writes. Oh, that was already it. I already did that one. Next up, we got Garden Variety Vagabond writes. John, Katy Perry just returned from the edge of space. How great would it have been to have been the cast of Fantastic Four who stepped out? Yeah, so I only read about this morning. Katy Perry.
Say what?
Took Jeff Bezos's rocket and flew up to the edge of the atmosphere, flew up to space.
Oh, wow.
It's the same trip that William Shatner took the trip, I think, a while ago. So Katy Perry did that. I mean, yes, it would be a cool marketing thing to have the cast of Fantastic Four.
Very dangerous.
But dude, that is so dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not like getting on a plane where literally 75 billion flights have happened with airplanes on the earth. This is like they've done like a handful of these. There's no way you're talking the cast into doing it. So would it have been great marketing? Absolutely. But I think you would have had a hard time. Wait a minute. Why do you want me to risk my life? To promote our movie. No, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think Tom Cruise is eventually going to be.
Tom Cruise would do it.
Yeah, Tom Cruise would definitely do it. So just have a cast of all Tom Cruise.
All right. Next up, we've got Movie Guy writes, what do you think happens to Doom after Secret Wars? I think Robert Downey Jr. is an alternative universe Tony Stark. I think Tony Stark is an alternative Victor Von Doom. That's the way I think they're going to set it up anyway. And after Secret Wars, we will get the 616 Victor Von Doom moving forward with a new actor. Would be a shame to lose the character after one story. Nope, I think he's done. I think he's dead after Secret Wars. Because at that point, you've had him for multiple movies. You've done the full story. You don't just keep him around for the sake of keeping him around. Plus, after that, they're moving more into the mutant saga after that. So I think Doctor Doom dies at the end of Secret Wars. I don't know that. You're asking me to guess. So my guess is I think he dies after Secret Wars. All right. Next up. Rick writes, what are the chances that we could see Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene? I personally don't think it's going to happen. Now that Doomsday has begun production, they could potentially shoot a scene for Doomsday that can be used as a post-credit for Fantastic Four. It would be mind-blowing to hear Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. What's the point? Like, honestly, that whenever the question comes up about could or should Doom show up in Fantastic Four, number one, absolutely he could. It is absolutely possible. Don't get me wrong. But my question would be, what's the point? Are you just doing it for the sake of doing it? If it's like, hey, you know what? We have nothing in the movie that absolutely in any way needs a Robert Downey Jr. cameo in this. But hey, we got Robert Downey Jr. over there shooting this. Get him to shoot something and let's just shoehorn it into the movie at the end. Why? Well, John, it'll get people excited about Doctor Doom coming. They're going to get people excited about Doctor Doom coming without a post-credit scene in Fantastic Four. That's not going to be a problem. believe that. That's not going to be a problem. So I just don't see what would the point be.
It's been a while since we had a post-credit scene that actually led to something or
Yeah.
meant something to another movie. For me personally, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I do if it's not just like what you're saying, just we shot it just to throw it in there.
Yeah, we
Like,
did it just to do it.
let it lead into something. And yeah, I love that excitement. When they showed Thanos in that post-credit scene, I forgot what movie it was, where he turns his head and he's like, I'll do it or whatever.
Yeah,
like that.
I'll deal with it myself.
The theater I was in, no one knew. A lot of people didn't know who it was, but the excitement I could feel in there when he popped up from the people, and you just heard, you know. So I want to feel that again.
By the way, I got to address this. Like Kaleido saying Doctor Doom is going to be a sudden whiplash for casuals. Says who?
Casuals.
They didn't do a build up for Darth Vader before Star Wars. They didn't do a big build up for Hans Gruber before they did Die Hard. Like all the greatest villains in history, they didn't have to do small, little, subtle build-ups to them. Okay, they did do it for Thanos, but Thanos was barely anything. And just because he did it once doesn't mean, well, that's the formula now. Now just repeat the formula. I don't understand that. Like, you don't, every movie in history, all the greatest villains in history, you didn't need some slow little buildup to them. And all of a sudden, wait a minute, Hans Gruber, I don't know what's going on. No, you went into a movie, they introduced a character, they did the character story, and he died. And he's like a top 5 greatest villain in the history of cinema. And they didn't need some little buildup for it.
Yeah, they have
right?
They have to make the villain, especially if they're the big baddie, a formidable opponent to the people who are going up against them. Like in Miss Marvel, that lady, I forgot what her name was. She, from the very beginning, I saw her as no threat. Like, you can even put it in wrestling terms. The best bad guys in wrestling are the ones that you actually think can beat your guy or whatever. I don't know. As long as they make him just like a tough, maybe even unbeatable villain, I think it'll work. They don't need to build
And again,
that up.
all you need to do that is a single scene.
Right.
You don't need some 4 movies have little cameos like, oh, like no one's going to care. All you need is one great scene in the opening of a film to completely establish who he is,
Right.
the threat he poses,
His purpose.
all his purpose. And great storytellers can do that. And the audiences aren't so, you're not dumb. You're not stupid. You are able, and so am I, we're able to sit in the audience and understand that right away. You do not need to do what they did. It's like the whole thing about, I often bring this up. They didn't need a solo Star-Lord movie and a solo Gamora movie and a solo Rocket movie and a solo Drax movie and a solo Groot movie and a solo Yondu movie and whatever, and then do Guardians of the Galaxy. No, you can just do Guardians of the Galaxy and introduce them all in the same movie, and everybody loved it. Everybody thinks when something happens and works once, that's like, that's a formula now. Step and repeat. Do it exactly the way they did it before. No, you don't need to do that. You do not need to build up to Doctor Doom. 100% you don't need to do that. And Darth Vader proves it. They did not need to build. All you needed was the sparks around the door, the smoke fills the hallway, and then emerging out of the smoke is this dark caped figure. And that was it. You didn't need a prequel. You didn't need anything. That's Darth Vader, man. And I don't know who that guy is, but he's clearly a problem. And then you just move on from there. Anyway. All right. Let's keep moving here because we're almost, we're way over time already, but we'll keep going.
We are.
Jake G writes, with Andor releasing 3 episodes weekly, it basically feels like we're getting 4 Star Wars movies over the course of 4 weeks. It really does. I know Arcane did this as well with the 3-act structure, but do you think we will see an upward trend of this release pattern? No, because this isn't a release pattern with Andor. Every 3 episodes represents 1 year, right? They're doing it in such a way that it's going to be kind of like 4 individual stories, all surrounding Andor. But remember, this happens in the years leading up to the events of Rogue One. And every 3-episode arc is 1 year in that journey. So it's not just a release strategy, right? It's specifically a story strategy. So no, I don't think we're going to see this pick up with a lot of other, I don't think we're going to see this become a trend by any such stretch of the imagination. I think this is a very specific strategy for a very specific story. You know, when Tony Gilroy decided they wanted to tell kind of like 4 unique stories, all leading up to Andor's appearance in Rogue One, and it takes place over the course of this many years, that each of those 3 episodes is going to be kind of one chapter of 1 year. So the first week is going to be year 1, then year 2, then year 3, then year 4, ultimately culminating in him going up and into the events of Rogue One. All right. Last question of the day comes to us from Jake G, who writes, I love the first episode of The Last of Us Season 2. Me too. The setting of Jackson feels like its own character. That's the town they live in. As someone who grew up in the Seattle area, I'm so thrilled to see how they make it look. Maybe we see the Space Needle or Pike Marketplace. 100% you're going to see the Space Needle. I mean, in anything, even in Frasier, that's how they tell people that they're in Seattle. You just show, kind of like in Toronto, when you want the audience to know you're at Toronto, you show the CN Tower. When you want people to know you're in St. Louis, you show the Arch. You know, that sort of thing. So I 100%, like I haven't seen it yet, Jake, but I will 100% guarantee that you're going to see the Space Needle. No doubt, 100% that that'll be there. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank Ray Ora.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Of course, Robert Meyer Burnett, who isn't here right now, but don't worry, he'll be back again tomorrow. My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.